What was I even thinking? You idiot. About to risk my life for art. For the art.
Could fit a credit card in there.
What do we do after we break an axle?
Nothing.
Woo! Yeah, buddy! Everything is okay.
I'm tired. Building your own personal project car is one of the coolest things you'll ever do. However, I ignored every piece of advice I learned from my last S13 and went headfirst into a project that was way in over my head. This is the story of probably one of the stupidest things I've ever done, and that is to be a pioneer. And to start this story, we have to go all the way back to 2016. I wanted to learn how to drift, so I purposely sought out a 240SX that was a little bit more beat up. So I heard about this 1JZ swapped coupe. No problem. Setting out to go grab the car, I then proceeded to receive the wrong address and drove an hour and a half out of the way. I should have taken this as a sign. I was so over this late night trip into the middle of nowhere, I just handed over the money and said, all right, I'll take it. When somebody says, oh, I bought a project that's already finished, you don't know the history of that car. You just don't know, but when you get excited about a car, it's very hard to not take a step back for a couple days and go, is that the right decision? The coupe was no different. And I lied to myself and said, it's a drift car. It'll be fine. So then I drive it all the way back home, pulled it into the garage, and coolant spilled all over the garage. I said to myself at 3 a.m., a problem for another day. Everything was zip tied, including the intercooler. The paint was terrible. There was a cable to the battery throughout the cabin and was the only way to start the car. I then called insurance to get it registered. Only problem is the VIN number didn't exist. So come to find out, the title itself had the wrong VIN on it. I once again should have just said, okay, this should be another sign. I cannot talk about this story without one of my best friends, Alan. Alan is one of the best techs I've ever known, and he was fully supportive in this project.
Hey guys, my name is Alan, and I'm responsible for all of David's horrible financial decisions. I love project cars. It's just one of those things where you allow yourself to just create something off of a blank canvas. It's definitely something that I've personally always looked forward to because you just never know what you're gonna end up with. When David did buy the drift coupe at first, it was a little rough. I would say a really good aura around it. It put off good energy to say, hey, this is something that's really worth saving. But it was a complete car. You know, I'm used to starting with nothing.
So even with the VIN number and title problems, I drove it one last time just to see how the car felt, and the motor failed. And I never even knew how to drift, nor did I even get the chance. Then and there, I should have sold it. For the VIN number issue, I had to get a Georgia police officer to verify my claim of it being only one letter off. The S had been turned into an 8. It's a Tennessee title, so now I have to send it back to the previous owner in Tennessee to get it changed. A few weeks go by, I get a fresh title in the mail. Awesome, problem solved. But then I had a terrible idea. For context, why did I choose to swap it? To fix the 1J and the transmission, which also broke, it would have been about the same price as getting a brand new crate engine from somewhere. I then had to choose an engine. I thought to myself, what engine has never literally let me down? I looked back at my 2JZ and all the problems I had with that, and then I asked Alan what he thought.
David had this wild idea. I was at the time working at my old job.
Do you know what's wrong with their car?
I think the wheel's about to fall off.
Wait, really?
I don't know. David calls my phone and says, I have an idea. I was like, oh gosh. He says, I want to put a Coyote motor in a 240. And I was like, what? Let's do it. Like, I really want to do it. You know, we didn't have anything at first. I mean, I think we just had the car at the time, and we didn't really have any parts or anything like that. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just an idea. And sure as shit, a big old pallet came from Ford Performance.
Hello and welcome to 240SX build 2. What was our goal with the last 240SX? To make a really fun, badass street car and to put a 2JZ with a really fast pulling turbo in that car. So then a lot of people were like, okay, so for the next project, what motor are you gonna choose? And I went through a bunch of different options. 2J, RB, and many more. Even some exotic car motors that were, well, too expensive, obviously. Well, I'm sure you saw this coming. Just kidding. Oh.
Redo that.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
Ford has done their boxes
Very well.
very well designed. When this crate came into the shop, you know, for me, especially with everything I've dealt with at that time, I wasn't used to like brand spanking new engine showing up on a pallet and all ready to go. But this was a fresh start. It was something that at the time, like I said, I wasn't really used to dealing with. It was a new slate for me to start with all new components and just really be able to dive into a project with fresh material.
So with no surprise to many people for the S13 Coupe, we went with a Coyote 5-liter engine V8 with 435 horsepower. This is the exact same Coyote engine that's out of a 2017 Mustang GT. Ford did an amazing job packaging this crate. It was super easy to take out and they delivered it in like 5 days. It was unbelievable. I'm not the first person to do this with my friends. I will say Kelsey Rawlings was one of the first, if not the first, to put a Coyote in a 240SX. So we're coming right behind there, as we know. At the end of the day, I said I was going back to my roots with this build, and the idea is to take my blue 240SX and the Smurf Mustang I have and have a baby. This car will be more of a drift-focused build. Yes, it's pretty ridiculous that I'm starting with this power plant. I know I'm stupid. A lot of people tell me once you go from one completely different engine to another, say 1J to Coyote, you almost have to relearn the entire process in a lot of ways. So it's gonna be really cool when we get this done, but it's gonna be a lot of work and a lot of custom fabrication. All right, so another fascinating thing I found about the Coyote motor that we got from Ford Performance is that it came with some headers on it to kind of gauge what we can work off of to get some clearance and figure out the clearance in the 240SX Coupe, because it is going to be one hell of a tight fit. But it's good to have something, to have an idea of what they're supposed to look like. Along with that, it came with a flywheel too, which helps a lot because we're still working on what kind of transmission we're going to use. You're really excited about it, but what are your like major concerns about helping me out with this build?
The only major concerns really is just fitment. What we're able to utilize with, you know, everything else, putting it into a Nissan chassis versus a Mustang. Where the oil pan's actually going to sit in the subframe that is provided with the S13, what needs to be modified.
You think, Alan?
I'm liking this.
I love the pedal. I don't know. I'm so fascinated that they gave us the pedal. That's so cool.
Awesome. It makes everything a lot easier.
It's gonna be like 2 super old 240 pedals and one brand new one inside. Yeah.
All the sensors, the harness, the drive-by-wire for the pedal. I mean, all the hard stuff's pretty much gone, minus, you know, the fab work and stuff like that.
As you can see, pretty much everything is here. Everything to plug in, especially with the PCM and everything. I mean, that's just awesome.
I mean, they even gave you a fuse box with all your relays, your fuses in it.
Yeah, we were worried we were gonna have to go full, you know, aftermarket harness and everything like that, but
It's just power wire.
Yeah.
This is, I'm assuming, would go off of the engine harness into a body control harness.
Mm-hmm.
You literally have everything: your key on 12-volt source, your ignition trigger, your starter relay or request from the ignition switch. I mean, you got your fuel pump relay out. You got CAN bus in and out.
I totally know this is not how it's gonna be, but according to Ellen, we have everything to make it work theoretically. but that's a perfect world. So how funny would it be if the Coyote swap ended up being easier than the freaking 2-day swap?
All that, like all the pull your hair out type of stuff's like more or less taken care of.
So as you see, it comes with very thorough directions on how the control pack works.
They even give you everything as far as everything labeled where it needs to go for the body side of things.
Getting the crate engine was an amazing experience, and it made us all very optimistic. However, this optimism would be short-lived. Being a one-man band in my career, it makes me extraordinarily busy, and I decided to make this project a side project. Basically, I'm like, you know what? I'll get to this car when I get to it, but I'll primarily focus on everything else going on in my life, which would prove to be very detrimental. I'm gonna show you that everybody starts somewhere, and that is why I'm gonna take my time with this project, because it means a lot to me. I'm very passionate about this project behind the scenes, and I'm so excited. And I'm sure you guys are too. I don't want you guys to forget about the car, but just kind of take it out of your mind and realize that ThatDudeinBlue is business as usual. Fast forward, it's 2017, and we finally get around to pulling the motor. So basically, the hardest part about this swap is making it fit, because the engine is huge compared to, say, an LS motor, which is this. Coyote is like that. The Coyote is a very wide motor, and to get it into an S chassis is gonna take some trial and error, and we're gonna have to make custom mounts and subframes possibly. So what we're gonna do today is pull the motor out, which is a 1JZ, and the transmission actually was leaking in it, so thankfully I didn't go out and drift this a lot because something else might have happened. So good news with that, but we're gonna pull the 1JZ out. More specifically, Alan's gonna beat me to it. I got here and the car looked like this already, so it's not gonna take much, thankfully. We also have some over fenders that Alan had laying around that we're gonna try to see if they fit, and that'll be really cool too. So let's get to it. So in other words, a lot of people were probably like, why didn't you fix the 1J? It probably wasn't that bad. But at the end of the day, there was a lot to do. It was small, nitpicky things and a lot of money involved. So here's some of the assortment of parts. These are actually, oh boy, these are Street Faction bash bars. We are gonna put these on later in the series once the car is more complete, but they are absolutely fantastic. Street Faction, you did an amazing job. They come with jack points. You can even get a license plate option. You can do all kinds of cool stuff with these, and this will protect the car when I inevitably crash. You guys get to watch me fail, so have fun. These are ISIS control arms, but now they're ISR, they rebranded. Well, obviously, but they're rebranded now as ISR. So shout out to Enjuku for always making a really good product. This is the anti-David screw-up device. It's now patent pending. This is where the intercooler used to be, and we were gonna just weld that back on when I was gonna stick with the 1JZ. But now, I was stupid and was like, let's just go crazy. This is the fluid that came out of the trans. So if you look close, there's flakes in it.
This is an engine.
This is an engine.
That's an engine.
I saw the check engine light. I checked it. I think what's so funny about this early footage is how optimistic we all are. You literally can see how happy we are, how this is such a cool experience. Little did we know, only like a month or two later, we'd be kicking ourselves for making this decision. And then it just kind of became a car on the back burner. It became a side project because I knew how much work it was going to take, and I still had to do this. I still had to be a YouTuber. I still had to travel. I still had to edit. All these things would be variables to make this project a living hell. Well, motor came out. Big thanks to Alan and the guys here at the shop. And that is one big step done with this car. Getting that 1J out lets us explore later with the Coyote what we need to implant to make it fit, all that good stuff. So now it's just so much room for activities. So let's keep going. Test fit for over fenders because we can. To have all this stuff off anyway for later stuff, so.
Fenders like literally held on with self-tapping screws, 10mm screw heads. They're bolts.
There's a wing nut under this. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this first episode. Leave it down in the comment section below what you guys thought about this and if you would like to see more. But on that note, I appreciate every single one of you guys stopping by to see this project and the 7-year journey. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. And take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.